Hello, beauties. Welcome to Moms Unboxed, a podcast where I unbox with you the how to's, tips, and tricks to empower women to upgrade relationships, intimacy, and parenting. I'm your host, Melanie Caroline, a multidimensional woman, life coach, lover, and mom who's made a lot of fucking mistakes. If you want to live a sensual and liberated life, you've come to the right space. Don't forget to follow Moms Unboxed because you don't want to miss an episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Moms Unboxed. I'm so happy you're here with me, unboxing everything relationships, intimacy, and parenting. How are you, mamas? Let me know by joining me in the Moms Unboxed Facebook group where I'm going in depth about relationships. I just dropped a whole week's worth of topics around trust. I would be thrilled to have you in that space. What are we unboxing today, mamas? Today, I'm unboxing with you something we've all experienced as a mother: chaos. Whether it's overwhelm or stress and anxiety, that all sits in your body. And if we don't have a place or a way to express these emotions that arise, they continue to persist in our body. And the symptoms that we might feel due to this stress is persistent. And that contributes to our reactions towards our children and our partner. Perhaps you find yourself bickering or argumentative, defensive. Perhaps you notice that your body language is closed off and you're struggling to soften within your tone, your volume, your eyes. And when we get into this elevated state where our nervous system is dysregulated, it can amplify that stress, overwhelm, that anxiety. One of my favorite quotes is by a philosopher named Viktor Frankl, and he said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom." I always say that self-awareness is the pathway to deepening our connection with our mind, body, heart, and spirit. It is through this path that we develop the relationship with ourselves and create greater connections with others through emotional intelligence and energetics. And we cannot get to this place of emotional intelligence and energetics without first being self-aware. And to be self-aware is to take a deep dive into the depths of who we are. It's understanding what is triggering you. What are you most sensitive to? What is it that the kids do that really hits you on a cellular level, that amplifies that tone, that creates that shortness that you might get with your children or your partner? It is up to you to build that self-awareness muscle, to really take accountability and radical responsibility for who you are. And it is once we understand our triggers, our limiting beliefs, the stories and narratives that we can tell ourselves, that we can free ourselves from those things. We can understand what the solution might be. I'll give you a really good example. I am a neurodivergent mama who is extremely sensitive to noise on a cellular level. Like, I feel it in my inner being, and it can quickly shift my mood if I'm not mindful and aware of my tolerance. So when my 14-year-old who has ADHD loves to make noise and express himself in various noise-making ways that he loves to do, I would snap at him. I would be extremely short with him. I wasn't placing myself in a position where I could understand what he needed for himself energetically. And I would be like, if you're going to make all that noise, you need to go outside or go to your room. Like point blank, period. I'm not hearing it. And later realized that he needed an outlet for his energy to stimulate himself. And it was my responsibility to solve my issue. It wasn't his to shut down because I couldn't tolerate it. So I want you to think for a moment, what do your kids do that you shut down because you can't deal with it? Think about that for a moment and think about what is it that is triggering for you and how are you responding to that? Is this something that you could fix for yourself rather than trying to control your external environment or control what your kids are doing? Because kids will be kids. They're learning, they're exploring the world, they're understanding themselves. You are as their mother, their siblings, and understanding what it means to learn and grow and achieve. They're going through so much developmentally and physically and mentally that it's really not beneficial to be shutting them down because we're annoyed with something. When we dive deeper into awareness, I teach my clients to do this with compassion, with love, with tenderness, with understanding. And I've developed 4 steps towards awareness with compassion. And number 1 is noticing and arriving the sensation, the feeling, the emotion. And when you notice it, you're just arriving to it. You're like, oh, wow. You're opening the door to your emotions, to the depth of yourself, to your triggers, to your limiting beliefs, to your stories and narratives that you tell yourself. And you're noticing, what are the sensations? Is it a tight jaw? Are you having tense shoulders or a sore back? Is your gut hurting? Do you feel like there's a weight on your chest? Are you clenching your teeth? You're just noticing and arriving to the sensation. And number 2, you're building further awareness and allowing. So you're not going to resist the sensation or put it in the back of your mind and ignore it. You're actually furthering your awareness by understanding, does this pain, ache, or tension, or agitation, or annoyance, or overwhelm, does it live in your body somewhere? And where is it that it's lying in your body? Does it have a shape? Does it have a color? Really tune in to the sensation that you are experiencing. Number 3, investigating and processing. Investigate it further. So if your kid is bickering with you or arguing and you notice anger arise, and you know through this deepening of awareness that when you get angry, you start to yell. And that yelling, you notice that your throat starts to close. Like you are having to force out these words, force it out with anger and all this tension and energy that you are experiencing towards your child or even your partner. Investigate why you're getting angry. What is there for you? Perhaps it's inner child trauma where you constantly had your parent yelling at you anytime you had an opinion about something, or anytime you tried to ask a question, or perhaps you did contradict them or argue with them. And you just yelled. So that was the example that was given to you, and that was part of your upbringing. I'll give you another example. If your child isn't listening and you go to bop them over the head or flick them, and you notice, like, I don't want to be that kind of mom that instills fear into my child in order to get them to listen. Investigate that. Where does that reaction happen in your body? Do you feel that tension, anger, overwhelm, stress, frustration in your body? And if so, where? Investigate that. But also, why? Why do you do that? Why is that the response that you're giving your child? When we're investigating our triggers and trying to understand the why behind our reactions, I want you to notice with so much love in your heart, holding it in your hand like a delicate flower. You're investigating pieces of yourself, pieces of your childhood, pieces of the way you grew up and you learned how to process your own emotions. And then number 4, expressing and releasing. When you've identified why you're having this trigger or this reaction, perhaps you've noticed that when you're tired, you get irritable. And when you get irritable, you get short, and that's when the reactions start happening. Express that to your children. This is where we start making the change from reaction to response. When we understand ourselves on a deeper level, when we practice the tools to gain more awareness and to become more mindful of our responses, that's this space, right? We're expressing this to our children. Mommy notices that when she's tired, she gets irritable. And when I'm irritable, this is just a time where we really need to practice listening a little bit better. So you get to express these parts of yourself to your child, to your partner, because you're understanding yourself on a deeper level. When you're getting defensive because your partner is asking you a question and they ask you, why are you getting defensive right now? You get to actually express, oh, I'm sorry, I've noticed I didn't eat today. And when I don't eat, I get really defensive and irritable because my jaw is clenched and my stomach is hurting. And it's just kind of rocky for me until I can get some food. There's different ways where we can allow these emotions to really release themselves from our body once we've noticed them, once we become more aware of them, once we've investigated and processed our emotions. We get to express and release these emotions in healthy ways so that we're not taking them out on our children. And there are so many different creative ways that we can express emotions that have been stagnated in the body. Let's take anger, for example. There are ways in which we can exude the anger, really grab a hold of it, really understand it and release it. Let it move through us through going for a jog or going at it on a punching bag, getting engaged in a physical activity, or putting on that rage song and having a scream in the car. One of my favorite things used to be going up to the mountain, and I would cross this bridge and I'd always park on this bridge and there'd be no one around me. And I just yelled as hard as I absolutely could. And I would embrace that anger and just release it. And then I would thank the anger for showing me what it needed. Oftentimes, our emotions that we are storing are actually lessons that we need to understand so that we can embody the wisdom. And we are here having this human experience. It's so natural to have our emotions. They're not meant to be shoved down or resisted. The emotions are parts of us. And when we don't recognize them, when we ignore them, we're ignoring pieces of ourselves. And that's what creates this reactionary mode when we're out of control, when our body language is closed off, or our tone of voice is snarky and sharp, or the volume is elevated and we're yelling, or we're quiet, we're disassociating, we're distancing ourselves, or we're not communicating. These are emotions that are being repressed. And when we go through the steps of compassionate awareness, we invite these parts of us to be seen, to be heard, to be validated. And isn't it a beautiful thing to learn how to do this? Because when we do learn these techniques to have a deeper awareness and understanding of ourselves, it gives us power through our response with purpose, compassion, and understanding. We're centered, calm, and patient. We're able to communicate what our wants, needs, and desires are in that moment. And we develop this moment-to-moment awareness. Self-awareness was one of the things that really saved me as a woman, as a mother. It was really understanding who I am at my core in a state of gratitude, being grateful for the emotions and what they're teaching us, the sensations, the feelings, being grateful that we have this opportunity to communicate and express ourselves to our children and our partners so that they can learn more about who we are. Moms don't take the opportunity enough to express. We think that putting on our armor is the best and shielding our children from life experiences and emotions. But moms, you have a whole world outside of your children. You're affected by your job, your relationship, your family, by traffic. Let your children in. Let them understand who you are. And by this understanding, we deepen the depths of love. So there's one breathing technique that I would love to teach you. And it's a remix on the triangle breath. If you're familiar with it, you inhale and then exhale and then hold. And because I love energetics and I love teaching about energetics, this breath work is going to be taught through the realm of energy. So if you are at a place and time where you can practice this, please join me. We're going to inhale for 7 breaths and then exhale for 7 breaths and then hold. But this technique should be practiced even when you're not in a state of overwhelm or stress. It can be practiced anywhere. And the more we practice and develop this skill, the more useful it is during those times where we are needing to create that space to choose how we respond. So if you are feeling that overwhelm, anxiety, or stress within your body right now, I just want you to place a hand where you're feeling those sensations. Inhale and exhale, just deepening your awareness now, understanding where the emotion is coming from. Where is it living in the body? What shape is it? Is it moving? Is it expanding or compressing? Inhale and exhale as you deepen your awareness. Now, I want you to picture a bright light. It's yellow, it's warm, it's honey, it's gooey and soft. And as you inhale, I want you to imagine with your third eye, you inhaling this warm light. Now I want you to inhale for 7 seconds. Here we go now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Imagining this bright light warming you, feeling your body And now that warm honey, the brightness of that light is encapsulating your stress. And that warm, bright light is going to alchemize that stress. So you're exhaling out any of that stress. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and holding. And when you hold for 7 seconds, I want you to say this mantra: I am love and I am light. I am patient and compassionate. I am love and I am light. I am patient and compassionate. Inhaling again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhaling. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And holding. I am love and I am light. I am patient and compassionate. And you're transmuting this energy as you're inhaling and exhaling. If you cannot inhale or exhale for 7 seconds, do what feels best for your body. Perhaps it's only 4 seconds, and that's okay because the technique and the process is the same. As you inhale, you're inhaling this bright, beautiful light, and it's encapsulating itself around the stress, and it's filling you with warmth, with love and compassion. And as you exhale, that stress is being relieved from the body. And then saying a mantra. This breath work and deepening awareness is going to be incredibly impactful to you and your relationships. Thank you so much, mamas, for joining me for another episode on Moms Unboxed. If you know another mama that could use this breathwork technique and understand what it is to have compassionate awareness, please do send them this episode. It would be so appreciated. Thank you so much again for listening. And don't forget to live a liberated, sensual, and unboxed life. I'll see you next week for another unboxing. Thank you again for joining me for another episode of Moms Unboxed. If you have a topic or relationship question, connect with me at I am Melanie Caroline. And don't forget to follow Moms Unboxed. May you live a liberated, sensual, and unboxed life. I'll be chatting with you next Wednesday for another episode. Until the next time, sunshine.